Cliff.
John.
How was your weekend?
It was okay. Saturday I felt sick, so I stayed home. That was not good, but had to be. Sunday, I received communion under both species. Hadn't done that in a long time.
That's cool.
So, Mike, for you,
Good morning.
since you wore a shirt yesterday, or last Monday, I wore a t-shirt for you today. And I don't know if you can see it all.
Oh yeah, I can see it.
Did you see the bless me bottom?
That's for confession.
Yeah. And at the bottom it says, for I have saints.
Cute.
My youngest brother sent this to me. And actually, Mass General Law, Part 1, Title 19, Chapter 131, Section 54, says singing is illegal.
I don't even know what that is, Cliff. What is singing?
It's a kind of net that has floats on one side and weights on the other side, and it falls vertically in the water.
And then the fish, they swim in and get caught in it. Yeah.
I never heard of it before today, but I'm going to thank you, Jim. Thank you.
Yeah, I knew what it was as soon as he told me. Yeah.
Not me. So, Mike, how's the weather down there in sunny Florida?
It's more. We've been getting more rain. We get these thunderstorms like in the middle of the day and this time of year, and it rains, which is good because we've been going through a drought. So at least we're getting some rain back. Did not get any rain though on Saturday when I was doing games all day at a soccer tournament. It was hot there. I joked with the other referee, one of the other referees. I said it was so humid and hot early in the morning that I was sweating out of my eyeballs.
So, Mike, what is people going to be done?
July 19th is the final. So this Tuesday, the 14th, is the semifinal, and one of them, and then Wednesday, the 15th, is the other semifinal. So Sunday, the 19th, is the final.
Okay. Now, have you enjoyed some of the videos that the foreigners are making about the visit to America?
Sure. I've seen a bunch of it. It's really great for the U.S., all these foreigners coming here, because, what they see in their news and what they hear about the U.S., and then they've come here and they're like, well, that isn't true. So they find out that maybe they need to talk to the people in their country about getting a few more amenities that we have, they don't have. One of the biggest things is air conditioning. People are shocked here on how much, with air conditioning here that's available in the hotels, homes, everything.
So take this as a friendly reminder. Everything we're saying is going on okay.
Okay, that's fine. It's not saying anything that,
We're getting a message from one of our viewers that she can hear us, so just an FYI.
Yep, no problem.
I did get a kick out of listening to a lot of these people. Have you started these videos on Facebook?
Yeah, I have seen them, and it's a nice compliment to the country.
I'm looking at one of my longtime radio buddies, Ryan Johnson. He used to be WCAP. Now he's on sports radio. He's over in Rome. I don't know how long he's over in Rome. I've been him and Wayne in Rome they have bumped up the portions of food that they serve people over there. When I was over there, you got a half a hot dog. Very stingy and wrong with the food, but now it's much different. So I'm glad they're catching on over there. But the American-sized portion, they're bragging about that. The 3 refills they get, like you said, Mike, everything's air-conditioned. Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, like I said last week, or I said before, people don't realize who've lived here all their lives how lucky they are to be here in the United States. What they take for granted here is if we had them meet people from other countries, or even they were able to travel to other countries and see the difference, they would realize how lucky we are to be here.
So there's this Russian guy, he makes videos, and he says, in America, being poor is a choice. I liked what he had to say. And he has some underlying things. He says, you gotta really almost have to work hard to be poor. It's so easy to get a job here, make money here. The money here is reasonable. He says, when I was working construction in Russia, we got $10 a day. And over here, it's $15 an hour. And
Yeah.
let's jump it up on that.
I mean,
Go ahead, Mike.
yeah, our cost of living is a little bit higher, but on the other hand, you know, we could talk more on the podcast today. I was on the previous agenda for Cliff, but we never got to it. I'd like to talk more about Lyndon Johnson's war on poverty and how it destroyed the black families. Because I've done more research. It's a pretty diabolical plan. Being from Texas back then, and the racial issues back then in Texas and in the country, yeah, I don't think people realize how much that damaged the black family.
Cliff, you good to go?
Yeah.
This guy. Okay, you're on. You're on.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Dawn Patrol. I'm Cliff Krieger, your host. I'm joined by Mike Smith down in Florida. Mike, how are you?
Good. Morning, everyone.
In honor, Mike last week had a T-shirt on, so I have a T-shirt from my youngest brother I put on. And it is a fisherman kneeling at a confessional, and it says, "Bless me, Father," and down at the bottom it says, "For I have sinned." And it's kind of a play on words, but I thought it was funny. We're hoping to be joined by Fru Nkimbeng, just back from Japan, and Eileen DelRossi. The national debt, 38.427 trillion as of last night. Both sides are participating. Low today of 61, high of 87 and sunny. Looking back in history, in 1787, the Congress of the Confederation, before we became the United States, enacts the Northwest Ordinance establishing governing rules for the Northwest Territory. It also established procedures for the submission of new states and limits the expansion of slavery. The Northwest Territory in those days was places like Ohio, Indiana, Illinois, not Washington and Oregon. In 1849, the Charleston Warehouse Slave Rebellion began in Charleston, South Carolina. So even back in 1849, there were people resisting the situation. In 1863, during the Civil War, New York City draft riots began 3 days of rioting, which regarded as the worst in U.S. history. They didn't like the draft back then either. In 1919, the British airship R-34 lands in Norfolk, England, completing the first airship return journey across the Atlantic. It took them 182 hours of flights.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah. In 1930, the inaugural FIFA World Cup began in Uruguay. And in 1973, during the Watergate scandal, Alexander Butterfield reveals the existence of a secret Oval Office listening system to investigate for the Senate Watergate Committee. I'm beginning to see little inklings that the revisionist historians are out looking at Watergate and thinking maybe it's not the same thing that we thought it was back in 1973. I remember in 1974, I was in England, and every morning I would walk into the library where I was, and the librarian would say to me, "Cliff, are you going to resign today?" That was when the question was, what would Nixon do? In 1977, Somalia declares war in Ethiopia, starting the Ogaden War. 1977, also during a period of financial and social turmoil, New York City experiences an electrical blackout lasting nearly 24 hours that leads to widespread fires and looting. I'm wondering what's going to happen in New York this year. 2014, Germany wins the FIFA World Cup, defeating Argentina in the final 1-0 after extra time. And in 2024, former President of the United States, Donald Trump, is injured in an assassination attempt while speaking at an election campaign rally near Butler, Pennsylvania. That was 2 years ago today.
Obviously, you've heard.
What, John?
Have you heard the rumors about the Air Force One and how they had the tracking system in the new plane cloned? That's why he switched to the old plane.
Yeah.
Amazing attempt. It's another attempt on President Trump's life, if that's true.
Yeah, it is. Well, and then there's the UCF event at the White House. There was a plot of a bunch of people to attack the White House and get the president. Yep. They just indicted them over the weekend.
Well, I'm just hearing about this. Tell me do you know more about what happened with the new Air Force One? Can you tell the audience that, or is that all secret stuff?
Well, what I know is that because Boeing didn't build it as Air Force One from the spars out, they're not sure that there isn't some hidden this or that in this new Air Force One. And they wanted to have the maximum defensive capability coming out of Turkey, so that's why they flew the old Air Force One into Turkey. And it's set up with flares and other devices to keep missiles away. John, is there a reason I'm seeing Dawn Patrol on the screen as opposed to myself?
You're on the screen. Dawn Patrol's there, Mike's there, and Eileen's there.
Oh, hello, Eileen. How are you?
Just prick speaker up. Yeah, now
Morning. I'm good. Good morning, Mike. Good morning, Cliff. Good morning, John.
Morning.
Happy Monday.
Happy Monday.
Well, we mentioned the slave riots, and in 1821, Nathan Bedford Forrest was born, a Confederate general and the first Grand Wizard of the Ku Klux Klan. He died in 1877. His motto was, "Get there firstest with the mostest." In 1913, Dave Garroway was born. Am I the only one that remembers Dave Garroway?
I remember he was a TV star.
Okay. In 1944, Inu Rubric, a Bulgarian game designer, an inventor of the Rubik's Cube, was born. Died in 1893. The Even Fear His Horses, an American tribal chief who had been born in 1836. And in 1970, Leslie Groves, American general engineer, head of the Manhattan Project, passed away. He had been born in 1896. Manhattan Project and nuclear weapons. Yeah. So, Mike, FIFA, do we know what FIFA stands for?
The International Football Association.
Yeah.
But I'm happy to say I think I won my bet with my son on who was going to get to the semifinals and finals. I picked 3 out of the 4 teams at the beginning of the tournament. The only one I didn't pick was England. I picked right away that it was going to be Spain and France playing in the semifinals. And then I had picked Mexico and Argentina playing in the semifinals. So it's England. I guess England is a better team than I thought they were, because they usually don't last. They have high hopes, but they don't usually win and make it through. One interesting fact is that this time, this is the first time at the FIFA World Cup that the top 4 ranked teams have made it to the semifinals. So the teams that are in the semifinals were ranked 1 through 4, and they're playing. So I think that it's going to be the final's going to be France against Argentina again. Argentina, even though they're struggling, they found a way to keep winning. And I just think France is too good against Spain. France is just too strong. So it'll be interesting to see if I'm right. But to me, watching the games and seeing stuff, I think the final will be just as exciting again this time as in 2022. And I think Argentina will find a way to win again. If they win, again, they'll be one of the very few countries that have won back-to-back World Cup titles. And the coach who's coaching them now also coached the team in 2022. He'd be the first coach to ever be the manager coach to win consecutive world titles. So it'll be interesting.
So we got beaten by Belgium. What do you think? Did we do pretty good considering soccer's not a big thing in the U.S.?
Well, I don't know if the U.S. came to that game with a hangover from partying all night, but they played terrible. I don't know if the pressure, the distraction with Balogun getting his red card getting just a year's probation. But they just played terrible. But whatever, the coach, I blame the coach in a lot of ways, not getting his team ready and focused for that game, but they played terrible. They're a better team than what you saw at that game, but they just played terrible. And we still have a long ways to go to be on the top teams. I mean, we have more players playing at the elite level in Europe and that now, but we need, I don't know if we need better coaching or we need something, but the other teams like Argentina, Spain, France are in a different skill level than we are right now.
Yeah. So, in the news, the Tyler Robinson preliminary hearing to see if he goes to trial for assassination of Charlie Kirk wound up, but we're not going to know for 2 months what the judge's decision is, I understand.
Well, from what I understand, this judge is not very experienced. This is like one of his first major trials. And I don't know what's taking so long, considering all the overwhelming evidence. The only thing I can think is that he wants to make sure that there's no way on appeal that any verdict could be overturned. But the only winners in this trial, to be quite honest, are the lawyers. Because they've got, Kirk has some very high-profile lawyers out of California and other places. And it's going to cost the state of Utah and the county where this is being held millions of dollars to defend this guy. I mean, if he's sorry he did it, why doesn't he plead guilty and get it over with? The only reason is they're trying to negotiate they take the death penalty off the possibility of him getting that. Because otherwise, this shouldn't be going on. The evidence is overwhelming. All the other things. It's the only reason they're trying to stall and do everything they can is because they want to get the death penalty off the table for this. And I understand the lawyers, that's their job, but if I was his dad, to be quite honest, I'd sit down and say, look, you did something you shouldn't have done. I know you might be sorry, but save everybody, especially Charlie Kirk's wife and family, all the agony of having to go through this. But I don't see that happening.
Okay, just to catch up on the texts. For all its faults, the draft did teach its citizens structure, exercise, and how to problem solve. Respectfully, I'm sure we've done some crooked and corrupt things to other leaders in the world. We have a bad government like the rest of the world. And lying's legal also, we gotta remember that. Military term of World War II, FUBA. Okay, whatever makes sense of that. Back to you, Cliff, thanks.
Bound up beyond all recognition.
Oh, the FUBAR. Yeah, I know it. Yeah, I know what FUBAR is.
Yep.
I think in terms of Tyler Robinson, I think the prosecution is trying to hide the fact that more people knew this was going to happen. It seems like it's not as innocent as Lance Twigg tries to make it out to be.
Uh-huh. Well, do you think these are indictable people?
I mean, it's enough to make you wonder. I know the prosecution has overwhelming evidence, which they do. One and one is not making two, at the cost of sounding like Candace Owen here. But something just isn't adding up.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I believe that his lover there that he was living with, I think he was offered some immunity for testifying, because I don't think he was entirely off the hook either. But it's more these private chat rooms that stuff is in and being discussed. That's where they really need to do some more digging and find out, like you said, Eileen, who might have known or where he was getting information or ideas from. Because it seems more to get through everything. It just seems more than just a spur of the moment thing, where it's kind of being shown that, a week or so beforehand he decided he was going to come and do all this.
But they really didn't talk about it, but they did talk about it, and he left a note. And then I was watching Megyn Kelly, and she was talking about in one of the trans furry Facebook posts that they were talking about how great would it be to not have him, and then the day after it said we did it, so there's a lot more that is apparently starting to pop up.
Yeah, there's a certain amount of sensationalism involved. I mean, Rush Limbaugh's widow showed up at the preliminary hearing to comfort Erica Kirk and Charlie's mother. So, and Eileen mentioned Candace Owens, who has gone off the rails on this issue. We're getting some larger social cultural participation here.
I want to back the bus up a little bit to perjury, how it's okay in the United States of America, and asking AI this morning, national perjury charges and convictions are relatively rare, with typically only 250 to 650 prosecutions annually in U.S. federal court system. So lying's okay in America, and the judges seem to just let it go. Back to you, Cliff.
Actually, that didn't happen, John. It didn't go back to me. It went to Dawn Patrol.
Cliff, I'm looking at you on the screen. I know you might not like it. Maybe you should turn on Facebook so you can see what really is going on, but your screen might be set up differently than mine. Right now it says Dawn Patrol, but as soon as you talk, you come up.
Okay, I'm talking. And I'm looking for it to switch, and it didn't switch.
Okay, Cliff, I'm not lying to you. Turn on Facebook.
I'm not saying you're lying to me. There, I see Mike Smith.
I'm the producer, Cliff. Go with the flow, please.
Yeah. When I talk, Cliff, it doesn't show me popping up on the screen. So it's I'm still coming up on on the Dawn Patrol.
So it's a quirk.
Yep.
So all right. So Graham Plattner has put in his resignation from the campaign, and they're going to have some sort of convention up there in Maine. 600 of those Democrats getting together at the end of the month. One of the things that I find fascinating is how the New York Times is dealing with this topic. They managed to not get upset about all his shenanigans up to the rape, and then at about the time the rape came out, his poll numbers fell, and then they had to find a way to work around that.
I think the guy was foolish to quit. He should have just stuck in there.
Yeah, he has to 5 o'clock till today to file the official paperwork. He still hasn't filed it yet. I'm hoping he doesn't withdraw. You know, it's this thing is with, you know, he's been accused of this in the public debate, but has any legal charges been filed against him? Have either of these ladies, and I'm not saying that they're not, what they're saying is not true, but there's been no charges filed against this guy. And I'm almost willing to bet there never will be. So it's about winning. That's all it's about. It's about the Democratic Party having feeling that with him they had no chance to win. Even though 70% of the people voted in the primary, Democratic primary, voted for him. This is not any different than what happened with Joe Biden. This is not any different than what's going on in Michigan with Al Said, that they're talking about similar things, trying to keep him out of there because they want a more moderate. So the Democratic Party and these things, as long as they think they can win, hey, we back this guy. As soon as they think, oh my gosh, we picked the wrong person, he's not going to be able to win, we got to throw that person under the bus and get somebody in now that we think has a chance of winning. So it's just disgusting, in my opinion, that the way they do this.
Well, I'm kind of interested in Eileen's view on an article I read this morning, which says that liberal women.
Cliff, you're bubbling up. So while you reset there, I got this comment from the audience I'm going to read. Cliff, you're bubbling up. I don't know what you're doing.
Grand Platinum.
Clifford. Hello?
Yeah. Yes?
You're bubbling up. We can't hear you. Question, and comment from the audience. A question, what will get more attention? The shooter who shot Charlie Kirk or the health care CEO shooter? Back to you, Cliff.
Oh, I think that the Charlie Kirk thing is going to be the big thing as opposed to the shooter of the health CEO. But Eileen, do you have any insights of liberal women still backing Graham Plattner because they think he's the only one who's listening to them?
I mean, I guess it could go either way, right? I mean, either I agree with Mike's point, there are no charges for him. Is it all just about winning? And do these liberal women really feel like he is listening? Like, and it's the total extreme of the other side. You know what I mean? I don't know enough about him. I don't know enough about everything. So, but I mean, I do believe that there are three sides to every story: his, hers, and the truth. And in this case, it's Graham Plattner's, his accusers, and the liberal woman.
Yeah. So it's
I'm just saying that, you know, Cliff, that I understand, you know, what's going on with the Democratic Party, but, you know, it's what bothers me is the press is making this like he's guilty, and I'm not saying that he isn't. I'm absolutely not saying that. And these women, but the thing is it seems very convenient now that this is coming out after he's been already elected, you know, as the primary winner. Why wasn't this stuff coming out earlier? Why wasn't it? Because the Democratic Party thought, even though this guy was a piece of trash, that, hey, we could win. So it looks like we're going to win. So we don't care how bad he is, you know, as long as we win. And then we'll control him, you know, how we want him to vote and do whatever we say once he gets in the Senate. And that's what bothers me is the New York Times, all these places knew how bad he was. And they still like, yeah, okay, we're just going to close our eyes and let's see if he can win. That's the real story, I think.
Good
Well, I
point,
think
Mike.
that.
I agree.
Go ahead, Art.
I didn't say anything.
Oh, I'm sorry. So, I think that's half the story. The other half of the story is the emergence of the Democratic Socialists of America, the DSA, from Maine to New York City to Colorado. It raises a question in my mind: have Americans lost hope in the American dream? And Gen Z seems to have. Those are the people born between 1997 and 2012. The news reports say they have no hopes of getting jobs and having careers and making money.
Because they play with their phones too much.
Okay.
I just think that the issue here is with Gen Z or even people that are a little bit older than that is when I went to school, you learned about the history of the United States, both some of the bad stuff with slavery and the good stuff. And it was pointed out that we live in a good country, and you should be proud to be an American. We're not perfect. There's no place in the world that's perfect. There's no utopia any place. But at least you were proud, you learned that you should be proud of your country, and we have a lot of rights here that other places don't have. The kids nowadays, they're not being taught any of that. They don't even know history. I mean, I've seen multiple interviews. They go around and ask people, college-age people in their 20s, stuff about the country. They were asking on different news stations, for our 250th anniversary. They didn't even know who George Washington was or some of the other stuff that are important with the founders of our country. So we're failing in our education system for people to understand what's going on. So because they're not educated and understand our country, they feel frustrated. And so we're going to, let's go with the democratic socialists. And they don't understand what socialism is. They don't understand what communism is. They just think that that's going to be better than what they have now. And that's the scary part.
Well, I extracted a couple of things from the Democratic Socialists of America platform. They want to abolish the U.S. Senate, abolish the presidency and the Supreme Court, and let the House run everything with a prime minister. They talk about abolishing the carceral forces of the capitalist state. Carceral means they see it as a prison-like system. I had to look that up. They wanted to fund the Department of War. So what are we going to do for defense? And they want amnesty for all immigrants. And they want to abolish police and prisons. They want ranked choice voting, public financing for campaigns, abolition of the Electoral College. Well, no, President, you don't need the Electoral College. And they want public ownership of largest corporations and essential industries to ensure democratic control and accountability and regulation of investments things. Let's see. They want to end restrictions on marriage, which the person writing the article presumed meant the legalization of polygamy. And
Who's they? Cliff, would you remind the audience who the they are?
Democratic Socialists of America.
Thank you.
And explicitly naming Jerusalem as the capital of a Palestinian state.
Well, let's hope they don't get in
I
trouble.
saw all this.
I'm going to read this text, Mike, real quick.
Yep.
It's all about power. They want control of the government so they can impeach Trump and not govern the country. If we had honest press in the country, Plattner would have been pressed more about his Nazi tattoo. Back over to you, Mike.
Yep. So I saw the stuff you listed here on the news this past weekend, Cliff. And so basically they just want to flush democracy down the tube and form their own vision of how people should be. So I think they've all read Animal Farm, and they've said, we're going to be the pigs. We're all equal, but the pigs are a little more equal than everybody else. We know what you need to do and how you should do it in life. So, just do what we tell you and everything will be fine. Obviously, people have not looked to see what China's like, what Russia's like, what some of these other countries are like, that they have communism and socialism. I mean, even in Europe, with some of the socialism they've done over there, now they're all starting to say, oh my gosh, with immigration, what have we done? We better start restricting it and changing things. France has areas where the police won't even go in anymore because it's so bad with the people who've come into the country. And, they want to have, if you want to have Sharia law, go right ahead. No police. So, defund the police. Who's going to control anything in society? We'll have complete chaos. They just want everything to break down and fall apart. And then they'll show everybody how it should be done. It's just ridiculous.
You got any thoughts on this, Eileen, before we move on?
No, welcome home, Fru. I loved your pictures of Okinawa.
Oh, thank you. I almost slept through the whole morning.
Good morning, Fru.
My son had to come and wake me up.
Yeah, good morning. Good morning, Fru.
Mike.
Morning.
Just a little jet lag, right? So.
I think we have a little linguistic confusion. Eileen said Okinawa, but I don't think you went to Okinawa, did you?
No.
You went to Osaka.
No, I went to Osaka is down south of Tokyo, but I went north of Tokyo before Hirazumi, before coming down through Tokyo and then going down to Osaka. But when you are going down through to Osaka, you pass Kyoto and then you pass all those other cities.
So were you close to Okinawa?
Okinawa is the big... Go ahead, Eileen.
Am I a completely different country?
What? No, it's now part of Japan again. Oh, that happened about 50 years ago. But it's an island off the southern tip of Japan.
Okay, I'm going to be quiet. I was just thinking Mr. Miyagi.
Oh, okay.
I got two checks I'm going to put out here.
Yeah.
And it says, most of the younger generation have never experienced life outside their parents' home. This is a big reason why they stay later and don't move on from their parents' basement. Well, it's free. And welcome back, Fru. How was your trip? Anything you wish you have done while you were away? Back over to you, Cliff.
Well, am so glad. I think this is one of the trips that I think it was a divine intervention trip, because I don't know Japanese. I didn't know anyone there. But wherever I went, any direction that I asked, the people that I asked, they were going towards the direction that I was leading. They always guided me. They are more friendly, more, I can't say anything, giving directions more than if it were here. The Japanese are just so, can you imagine if I'm going to a place, my phone is not working, and luckily I had to write everything on paper, then I would just hand it to someone. Oh, I'm going that way. They take me along. If they are moving off the train, they will direct me. I go. That is, that is the world.
Neighborly.
But Cliff, you were talking about socialism and just painting it in a very nasty way. What was it about that you were talking about?
Oh, the Democratic Socialists of America.
Yeah, what's wrong with it?
I think that the problem is that it squashes the entrepreneurial spirit of capitalism, and as a result slows economic progress, technological progress.
Well, I beg to disagree with you. When you walk the street, you see how Americans are homeless on the streets. When you walk, you see how some of our bridges are really collapsing. You see how, sometimes we are locked into these old ideas and thinking that the younger generation doesn't see. Sometimes let us see through and move along. Okay? When you see how we are pumping money outside and waging war, while here, insurance, we don't even have health. Most Americans are running outside to go and get health coverage. The elderly are complaining. We don't see what is in our neck of the wood to fix it. We only want to point somewhere because most of the capitalists are the ones who are actually controlling the media. If you really go into the details, you come in this country, go to Louisiana, go to down south, you walk with the people. Are you going to still talk about what you are talking? The rich people control the media. They are the ones who are giving this narrative. We are parents and grandparents. Let us get out into this notion of painting a false image. While just walk down the street in Lowell and see how many you will blame others and thinking that these are immigrants. These are not immigrants. These are Americans who are born here. The greater part too are whites, but you will not talk about that. We will use the media because it's only a one-way stream and until fooling the people. Most of these people have never traveled. They get their information only through the media, which is screened to make them poor. Is it telling them the truth? You compare them with these other countries. If I didn't go to Japan and I just listened to the main media, I would think that there's no development out there. When I say like this, I know that what is going through most of your mind is, why can't you go out? What are you doing here? When someone sees, if you cannot control, see the problems around yourself and fix it, you only, when you are pointing one finger out there, how many fingers are pointing back at you? And this is the misinformation that we talk about education, and then we have it to spread this kind of narrative to our children, and then we say, oh, they are not being educated. We are the ones doing it because we don't say the truth. And we know it. It's not that we don't know. We are not stupid. We are just following the mainstream media.
Well, why don't we write the FCC and complain about this false reporting?
I will not be here anymore. I will be fired. And it has happened. Just recently, see how many news people have been fired because of mentioning the truth.
Well, I blame the media for a lot of this pumped up racism issues that we have. They always say, don't forget you're a whitey, don't forget you're black, don't forget you're Puerto Rican, don't forget you're Asian. We're all Americans. The media,
John, when you talk, I've listened to you, you talk about your Irish roots.
no,
Why don't you talk about
no,
that?
I don't, Fru. I don't talk about my Irish roots. I'll tell you a quick Irish
How
story.
did I know you are Irish?
I will-
How did I know you are Irish?
Okay, you can yell all you want, Fru. When you're done, I'll talk.
How did I know you are Irish? Even just listening to what all of you are saying here, there's no one. It looks like all of you come from the same school. You are talking just one direct. For every side of the coin, there are two sides. Say something and try to be fair and balance it so that someone can say, oh, these people, at least they look on both sides. Don't just condemn and condemn and condemn. You are telling your audiences that this is a one-sided discussion. This is not a discussion that we can say it is fair and balanced. And we think that our audiences are stupid. No.
I'm going to talk now.
Yes, John.
Okay. When I went over to Ireland on one of my fancy little trips that we take, I knocked on the door of an Irish funeral home. The guy opened the door and I said, "Hi, my ancestors came from this town and I wanted to get a tour of your Irish funeral home just to give myself a little background." He says, "You're not an Irishman, you're a Yank." And he closed the door in my face. So I'm not Irish. I don't brag about being Irish. I think we have to leave our roots for our birthday and realize we are all Americans and love each other just the way we are. You're an American. So, well, no, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this. Well, make up your mind. You can't be both. This both business is killing us. Back over to you, Cliff.
Well, but I equally believe that, John, what you are saying is true. But when we say we are a melting pot, and when we preach, when we say we are talking about history, just what you have said, that's why we promote selective history. Because we don't want others. I mean, if we say we are a melting pot, we came from somewhere, why should you hide where you came from?
Fru, I'm an American. I just said that. I'm an American, okay? And I'm not going to change my mind. I'm an American. When I go to Market Basket, if I don't care who's in front of me, who's behind me, we're all Americans in line. That's the way I look at it.
That's why America is unique, because the diversity that we have here is our strength. But some people do not see that diversity as a strength. We are Americans because we are unique around the world. There's no other country that is the beacon of the world, and that can you can say you are Irish American and be proud of, German American and be proud of, African American and be proud of, and Asian American and be proud of. In our last discussion, we're talking about Japan as a homogeneous country, that they don't have the benefits that we see here. They will be looking at things through a narrow tunnel, but America looks at things through a broader tunnel because we reflect the whole world. And that is the only unique opportunity that we have.
So, Fru, just before you came on, we were talking about Graham Plattner and the fact that liberal women he might think would be repulsed by his casual treatment of women, rape accusations, that kind of thing. But liberal women are still supportive of Graham Plattner, even though he's resigning his candidacy. So what do you think is going on there?
Well, Cliff, I don't follow him. What I follow is bits and pieces. I'm not from Maine. But if the women, who are we men to stand and be talking about women and be talking about who women should support? And that is the narrow-mindedness. You didn't have any woman come on this show to defend him. We preach our own history because we are fortunate to have a platform and polarize the whole atmosphere, because there's no coming in, there's no equal debate on both sides, so that you hear from one side and hear from the other side. We preach our own doctrine and thinking that our own doctrine is universal. Is that really fairness? Is anyone coming and challenging you about your point on this show?
Yeah, aside from you.
No, but that's what I'm saying. If we are talking something, we know that Americans are very, very intelligent. They watch the news. Let us not, if we are conservative, let's not make a show that will be preaching conservatism and ignore the other people. Because it tends, you make your audience just narrow, just very small. And those who are thinking like you, the person who makes you see better is the person who criticizes you. And then the person who just goes ahead and bows down and accepts whatever you're saying, that person probably doesn't lose his own thinking, or that person is beholden to you, because he knows that if he disagrees with you, he may lose something that he already has.
I got 3 texts I'm going to read to you guys. It says the only thing people who are not Americans care about is, are you paying in American dollars? Home run through, Americans learn bad behavior and lack of respect for their parents. If parents actually held kids responsible for their actions, the world would be a better place. Look how commercials on TV, they glorify bad behavior and reckless spending. Back to you, Cliff.
Let me ask you something. When President George Bush II talked about compassionate republicanism, why did he put that compassionate in republicanism? Because there's no, he looked at it, it was becoming very dry, not compassionate at all. I didn't coin that word. It was the leader of our nation.
I don't want to move off this maniac. This maniac that might drop out of the election, might not drop out of the election today. The only thing the Democrats care about is winning. Their feeling is this guy can't win. That's why they're getting rid of him. If this guy could win, they'd stick with him like mayonnaise on a bun. Back to Cliff.
I think that we've sort of lost where we started from here. Is the discussion when we started out, Fru, more was the bad parts of this person were known. People knew. And they ignored it because they thought he could win, like John was saying. And the Republicans, they want to win too. I'm not saying it's just a Democratic thing. But it seems more and more that the Democrats are willing to back people that we know are just not good with all the things that are in their background and their history, because they think that person could win. And I know it's only my point of view, I have not seen that so much on the Republican side. They tend to nominate more people that do not have, I can't imagine the Republicans nominating somebody like this Graham Plantner. I don't think that you would see that. And I know that's just my opinion, but I don't see in the news about the Republicans the same with this kind of thing as we've been seeing with the Democrats. And I'm seeing it on CNN, seeing it on Fox, I'm seeing it on NBC.
Yeah, but Mike, it's
all this stuff.
Like, respectfully, it's more like NASCAR. They don't care what the driver does. Can he win the race? Politics has turned into NASCAR.
John, I think that the institution, when they see someone who's coming from new ideas, who will go contrary to the so-called bosses of the both parties, whether Republican or Democrat. There have been Republicans that are very good people. When they see very good people who are coming with an independent idea that will go beyond this narrative of demonizing socialism, of demonizing this, that will toe the line. If they see that this person can come and change the trajectory of the old thinking and bring new ideas. I'm not insulting, I'm not saying that old age is bad, but look at us here. We are talking, the youngest person here should be around 60 years old. But here we are preaching to the younger generation. We don't invite them here. And you look all our leaderships, all of them are dinosaurs. Just look around the world. And then most of the other countries, they are young leaders. Do you really expect that this younger generation that we are living over to them will live the kind of life that we are living?
For our audience demographics are 65 and older. That's our audience, 65 and older.
Okay, but when this younger generation that we are handing over to, let them govern ourselves. Even in our politics, the youngest person there in our leadership, if anyone around 65 and older is very young, what are we telling the whole world? That the democracy should be able to, that blood should be able to replenish, and then the younger ones push the country, because these old people are bringing the 60. We are talking about AI, and then we still have these old people running. They cannot even reason with the technology of today, and that is how you make the country competitive with other countries. And if other countries are competitive, we are buried in our 60s or 50s. The baby boomers are still in place. That is not what development is all about.
Through I'm going to read this statement. Ms. McDonough, you're absolutely correct. Politics has turned into NASCAR. Thank you, Jeannie. The next generation, my kids, your kids, they don't watch Channel 4, 5, 7, 11. They don't even have cable TV. They get news off their phone or their computer somehow. They pick and choose where they want to get their news from. They don't watch CBS, ABC, NBC. Thoughts?
Yes, John, that is because everything has been narrowed down. That's why I said he who controls the media controls the narrative. Anything happens, these guys are connected around the world. They get what is happening all over the world, and they become rebellious. Because mainstream media, you can fool some people some of the times, but you cannot fool all the people all the times.
Well, that's true. So,
I listen to what you're saying, Fru and John, and I understand about the younger generation, but you got to look at the pros and cons on both sides, as you were saying, Fru. The younger generation, yes, they're seeing things different and they're coming up with ideas, so we should listen to those ideas and say, this makes sense, this doesn't. But our generation also has a lot of experience, and we've seen things happen over our lifetime. So we can use that information to look at what makes sense and what doesn't. That's why parents, put boundaries on their kids at home when they're younger, because they don't know. And there's nothing wrong with coming up with ideas like we're seeing, but you have to look at the big picture. And as you're saying, Fru, people look at it through a narrow view. It's whether it's younger generations or older generations, we do look at things sometimes through a narrow view. So hopefully we can get, if you're willing to listen and then digest that information, then we can come up hopefully with something that makes sense. I just find now that the younger generation, they're so we used to always say old people are set in their ways. Well, it's not just old people. I see through my nieces and nephews and younger people, they look at this is the way it's got to be, and we're right, and there's no other way. And when you try to talk to them and explain your point of view, they don't want to hear it. That used to be more, the older people, they don't want to listen. So it's kind of flipped back and forth from the generations now. And we're all talking over each other in some ways instead of trying to listen first
60
and
seconds.
then take that information and see how we can make an informed decision.
That's very true. Yes, John, I'll be leaving shortly. But what I equally, so when you plant a seed, that seed has to die and manure the new plant to grow. And when that new plant is growing, it's feeding on the old one. We, the old people, should be able to do such and let the new ones come up with their ideas. We should mingle the new ones amongst us. One thing is we, the old people, do not want to listen to the younger generation. That's why they are rebellious.
Welcome home, Fru. See you next week. Thanks for chiming in.
Thank you.
Going to
Thanks,
break.
Fru.
Have a good day, Fru.
Yeah, welcome, Mike.
Okay, are we on a break, John?
Yes, we are. Got 10 seconds to go. Okay, we're past the break. You good to go, Clint?
Yeah.
You're on.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to City Life Show. I'm Cliff Krieger, your host, joined by Eileen DelRossi, my co-host. She's hiding from us right now. And Mike Smith down in Florida. How are things in Florida, Mike?
Well, it's been warm. We are getting more rain now, so hopefully that'll help alleviate some of the drought. But I've been reading up more and more about the El Nino with the Sahara winds that have reached Florida now. And they're talking about this year being hopefully a much calmer season for storms. They've lowered their prediction on how many storms they think will be named this year. I believe originally it was 14 to 16. Now they're saying it's going to be under 10. That doesn't mean that we wouldn't have a hurricane possibly hit Florida, but they're saying that the chances have lowered quite a bit about any landfall storms or hurricanes this year. So that's good news for us.
Okay. And, of course, our Commander-in-Chief, John McDonough. And how are things in the studio, John?
Everything's. I got 3 texts I'm going to give to you guys. Just going to peel up the last one, and we'll read them to you guys. All right, here we go. Politics is now a horse race instead of having real deep discussions and analysis of very important issues facing all of us. But one good thing is a horse race bring a lot of attention, excitement, hopefully getting more people into becoming engaged to vote. Next text. My kids don't watch news because they're sick. Because they're sick and tired of being lied to about politics, climate change, COVID lie. We had a press that didn't have an agenda when we were younger. First, in the last text is a great debate the first hour. Back to you, Cliff.
Okay.
I just want to add something in, about the younger generation saying that the press lies, and I know Fru was talking about that. But this is nothing new. Look at our history. Look at Hearst Publishing back in the 1900s. They controlled what was going on, people saw. So the press, how they do things, is not anything new. But it takes more effort now because of what we're seeing to find out what's true and what isn't. And you have to take the time to get the right information, and it's getting harder, unfortunately, to do that.
Bart brings up a good point. Fru is correct. Congress is becoming a nursing home with a growing number of dinosaurs. Where's Mitch? He has made it. He has made it back. He has made it back of a milk carton yet. That's from Bart. Interesting point. This Lindsey Graham.
Yeah, the latest on him is.
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I was going to say the latest on Mitch McConnell. Supposedly he had a leg injury, and that's why he's in the hospital. That's the latest I saw on that. And Lindsey Graham passing away. I mean, the guy's literally only a year older than me. So that gets my attention, for something like that happening.
And that only happened 2 days ago. They turned 71.
Yes.
Yeah. We have less press competition than we did 250 years ago. On the other hand, we have all these alternative media sources that are available to us out on the internet, and thankfully Elon Musk bought X and Twitter and turned it into X and freed it up. It was starting to get a little controlled by the owners. So I think that the internet has made more information available, and people who blame the press maybe are not putting in that little extra effort to find other news sources that have a more liberal, socialist, conservative bent to them, depending. I mean, for instance, I look to see what Sarah Hoyt has to say. She is strictly on the internet, immigrant from Portugal, author. She brings a certain point of view, and it's interesting to compare what she has to say with other people. Some people go off the edge. I think Candace Owens went off the edge, and Tucker Carlson went off the edge too. And I just noticed that I was paying $72 to be on his news feed. I'm probably going to save that $72 next year, because I think he's sort of gone off the edge.
Well, did you have a doctorate to know that? Are you a diagnostician?
No.
Okay. I mean, if that's just your opinion, right, then, and you are all set with that. But I always think it's interesting to listen to a wacky conspiracy theory. There may be some truth to it.
There may.
I got a text here. Kids are babied so much that we have something called Uncrustables. Good grief.
Yeah, it's automatically cut the crust out for you on your PB&J.
I think on the what Fru was talking about too is that we talk about all the kids, the younger generation, and that always happens. But I think you have to look at what part of the country you're talking about, and what kind of area in the country you're talking about. Because you go out to like some of the Midwest states and that, kids are, they're working, they're being held accountable, their family goes to church, they have, come up with different values. It all depends. But I think it comes back to the family. The real disintegration, I think, would why people are looking for something is because of disintegration of family, where they have a consistent, stable home life. And that's where I think people are struggling. And, I was fortunate growing up. My dad worked. My mom didn't have to work. She was home. We don't see that as much anymore. People are busy. They don't have the time. I know, Eileen, with schools now, it's difficult to discipline kids or give them, put boundaries on them because of, the way things are. It's frustrating, but it's not hopeless, because I do see, where different families and different kids, they are being responsible, respectful, and they are, they do try to follow some kind of guidelines. But as a parent, it's not easy to do that.
Another text from the audience: we never had the news people jabber-jawing in between news segments. We don't care about what they did on their day off. Shut up and read the news. Good point.
So, Eileen, school committee this week?
Yes, school committee this week. So what's on? It seems like a light agenda. I was just looking at it. We are going over. There are just two motions. Danielle McFadden requested the superintendent to work with the appropriate departments to provide a report on the current efforts to address rodent issues within Lowell Public Schools. Let me tell you, whatever they're doing is working, because I brought my dog last week for a walk around the Robinson, and there was a dead bird. I didn't think anything of it. The poor little thing just died. So then the next day, I bring my dog a walk around to the Robinson. There's like a full dead bird, and then them falling off there was dead pigeons falling off the roof, and then I looked, it was Mill City Environmental there. I was like, oh, this could be an issue. So I called the mayor and just gave him a heads up. So whatever they're doing is getting rid of even the birds at the Robinson. And then I have a motion to request the superintendent to report on repair projects for each of the schools and what status they are in for the opening of the school year, including the Jundark School, for an update.
Is Jundark going to actually open?
No, not this year. Hopefully, if everything goes as planned, which we know never does, it'll be ready next September.
Did we ever get a report on flying flags at half-mast?
Nope, we haven't got that back yet. What the protocol is?
Yeah.
Or did we? I don't think we did, because
no.
I would have let you know.
Eileen, are you guys open Fridays, or do you know yet?
I do not have the answer to that question yet.
Thank you.
Well, I was reading the Lowell Sun, and I was thrilled to see that we've instituted a special remedial reading program called Ignite Reading for grades 1 through 4. And we've apparently scooped up 671 local students, these are kids, some are 4 years behind, and they put in, and it looks to me like an average of 21 hours, and the students make a big jump. Do you know anything in addition about this program, Eileen?
I don't know about Ignite Reading. I do know that we voted to add the U-Fly to the reading curriculum during the school year, but Ignite, I should catch up on the Lowell Sun because I have not heard of this program. And I don't know if they're just introducing it this summer. I guess my question is just in regards to, do they know that it would work for students with this demographic in Lowell? Because we do have a unique demographic.
Well, they say 671 local students. That's a pretty big chunk of students, I would think.
But did they jump or are they supposed to jump? I guess is my question.
Well, I don't know.
Because I'm going to be very much so on measurement this year, and is it just data that you found somewhere on their website to buy the program? Is it because I'm not seeing it in our kids. Our kids are not winning.
That's disappointing to me because I think it was 671. What's that? 25 classrooms worth of kids. I saw this as a pretty big deal. I don't know. They, as I recall, the Lowell Sun article was based on information from Jen Myers.
No, Jen Myers would give you the accurate information. I'm just wondering about the data. I did not read it at all. So, Lowell Advancing Literacy with Targeted Instruction. Okay, I'm going to read it now.
Well,
yeah.
Go ahead.
I was just going to say that. Any kind of program to increase the reading time for these students is going to be beneficial. And if they're that far behind, when you're saying, what you sent me was kindergarten reading level, and now they're doing much better. I know through my grandson, he wasn't getting the reading time outside of the classroom. Now that he's been with my son more, and they read to him and have him read every day, they've seen a huge increase. So anything that they can increase the reading time, these students are actually reading, is going to be very beneficial. The challenge is, through what I'm seeing, and the demographics in this area that you're talking about, is outside the classroom, the kids are not getting the reading time they need. So anything that the schools can increase is going to help, but the real root issue is how do you get them to be able to read more outside the classroom? And that's the real big challenge, to get them reading outside the classroom.
Apply it. I know. The first picture I looked at for the article was somebody on a computer, which I think to myself, there's nothing wonderful about that. Because I think that's the worst thing for the kids. But
no, I agree with you on that, Eileen, because you need a book in your hand that you're actually turning pages, and you're physically got something with you that you look at, you have to interpret it, you have to let it, resonate in your brain, and then think about it. When I was a kid reading, I'd read 2 or 3 pages and then be thinking about that story, and then maybe read some more. I wasn't reading 50 pages at a time or something like that. So, and it also gets the student there instead of looking at a screen, because you can be distracted with other stuff, even though there's stuff on the screen. When it's a book, you're focused. You learn how to focus on something. And so it's not just the reading. It's all the other things that's incorporated into reading with the book.
yeah, it looks, this program, just from looking at it, looks like it's, well, I don't know, maybe it's a tutoring program, as it looks like people are on Zoom, are touting literacy for students in grades 1 through 4 through the use of targeted
Comment from the audience. Kids should have limited time on their devices. Unfortunately, kids are given devices at a young age. The only one who can fix this digital addiction is the government. They rule the FCC. The FCC can clamp down on this anytime they want, but Congress has decided to just let it fly. Back to Cliff.
Well, John, on that note, more and more schools are, banning phones during school time so that the students aren't distracted by all that.
Well, Mike,
so
on that note, Mike, the kids can't eat in class. They certainly do. The kids can't have sex at school. They certainly do. They find ways to make stuff happen. So say they can't use their phone, it happens.
Well, no, I understand it. No, what I'm saying, some of the schools are actually, when you come into the classroom, they're collecting the phones up and holding on to them, during the day. Or when they come into school, they're collecting them, and then the kids get them back at the end of the day or whatever. They don't get to use them. They can't. So, there's always ways around everything. You're right, John. They can. But anything you can do to minimize the distraction will be helpful.
If kids had to pay for their own cell phones, things would be different. Good point.
That would be true.
Well, Eileen, I want to call on your expertise. Explain to me the difference between autism and ADHD.
So ADHD is attention deficit hyper disorder, where kids have a lot of trouble regulating their emotions, regulating how to spend their energy. It knocks off their inner system. So I'd like to make it clear, we are diagnosing kids with ADHD and autism, we're hanging out like Halloween candy, right? So when you think about it, once a child is diagnosed with ADHD, they're classified to be mentally ill because it's a neurodiversity. It is something that is abnormal. So I think that's something we have to be really careful about when we're doing that. I actually sent John something too.
It's on the screen now, Eileen. You can't see it, but it's up there.
All right, let me pull it up for myself.
Well, the pharmaceutical companies are happy with all these people being diagnosed with this, though, Eileen. So.
Well, yeah, and the doctor's getting the kickbacks, So.
And the mother's getting a bigger check.
Yeah, with autism and ADHD. Okay, so autism is often marked by rigidity and the need to have certain things in place. Like a child may have food avoidance, or not like certain textures or smells, or even hearing chewing, or it presents in many different ways. And one of the worst ways that I think I've ever heard it classified is as a nonverbal, right? These kids aren't verbal, which is not true. Some of the most amazing figures in our society have really good communication skills. What they lack is the understanding of basic prepositional words, on, over, it. They seem like they get it, but they don't get the smaller prepositional phrases in kids with autism. So it's called co-occurrence, or it used to be called comorbidity. Many individuals experience both concurrently because it is not neurodiverse. It's an impact on the entire neurological system. The overlap can complicate personal and professional lives, impacting social interactions, focus, and emotional regulation. Understanding the nuances of how these two neurodevelopmental disorders, that's the word I was looking for, neurodevelopmental disorders, coexist is crucial for fostering better support systems with various communities. So there's many celebrities that have bravely shared their journeys with both autism and ADHD. Wentworth Miller, who is the star of Prison Break, and very hot, by the way, is diagnosed with autism and ADHD. And so it's funny because as soon as I saw the beginning of Prison Break, I was like, whoever thought of this or is acting in this must have autism because of the formulations and everything that they wrote. Dan Aykroyd has autism and Tourette's. Michael Phelps is ADHD and speculated to have autism, and as is Simone Biles. So some of our greatest figures have given a lot of awareness to this, and autism and communication, it's beyond speech, it's expression, it's a lot of times these kids don't even recognize when they're hungry, so maybe they're acting out because they're hangry, but they don't recognize those symbols because their system isn't working on whatever normal clock it is that we have. Temple Grandin is another great example.
Elon Musk?
Elon Musk is autistic, yep. Anthony Hopkins has Asperger's, which is a higher level. Dan Aykroyd, Daryl Hannah, Elon Musk, Susan Boyle, Temple Grandin. Albert Einstein is speculated to have traits associated with autism. His groundbreaking theories of relativity sprung from the profound focus of an innovative thought process, which can be common among individuals on the spectrum. Anthony Hopkins, deep character portrayal in films to his unique perspective. So as much as these are disabilities, they can also be like super abilities for as long as it's explained and it's taught to them how to build on their strengths and knowing what their weaknesses are, but building their weaknesses up with their strengths. So, and I think educating our students about these new syndromes and why they may be a certain way is important. But of course, today's kids don't want to know anything like negative or constructive about them. They only want to hear they're awesome. So that's where we get into an issue. Isaac Newton, known for his reclusive nature and intense focus in his work. Nikola Tesla, an investor engineer. Tesla displayed characteristics such as obsessive behaviors. So autism could show up in OCD-like behaviors, sensitivity to sensory stimuli, contributing to electrical engineering and technology. Charles Darwin, the creator of theory of evolution, may have shown signs of autism, often preferring written communication and deep concentration. Barbara McKinlock, a Nobel Prize winner, scientist in genetics, and exhibited extreme focus on her work.
What about the issue of dealing with ADHD with medicine versus teaching the person coping mechanisms?
So I've worked with both. So some kids, there are systems in place to calm their sensory nervous system. The brushing system is in place. If you could do that to kind of calm their joints and their overall system, like I've done that type of system, the brushing system and connecting the joints to help them to calm themselves, diet, exercise, getting out there, and just teaching coping strategies. When you get to the more severe end of ADHD, it's really difficult to even have a conversation and to get these kids to focus in order to have that conversation about coping skills. And so sometimes medication is needed and can be life-changing. I think that, a lot of parents, I mean, you go through different stages when you have kids with intensive needs. You know, a lot of times our kids need speech and language therapy, occupational therapy, and it's very confusing to navigate our system and what's available out there. And I think that, you know, over time it wears down, or some parents don't even have an awareness of disabilities, or just think that they can discipline their kid out of it. And, you know, there are so many things, like even, you know, in my head, I'm thinking special education often, but to some of my friends, they don't think like that. And when they tell me stories about their kids, I'll be like, in my head, I'll be like, well, maybe they have a learning disability in this or that, or this, or, you know, maybe they do need a little extra support. But how do you say this to somebody who doesn't have an understanding of all this educational terminology? And it's a very overwhelming process that the schools have to be able to even begin to offer services. And I think we're maybe offering too many services for too many students, and too broad, because right now one of the major services is executive functioning, which teaches the kids to have like basically an internal clock, and to be able to figure out, you know, when to do their homework, when to have downtime, you know, when coping strategies for ADHD especially. But it's so hard to integrate that into the school environment where we need our kids to pass an MCAS, or we need them to pass standardized tests. They're not learning these skills at home. So it goes back to what we talked about. What's being taught in the home? Is there structure? Is there routine? Do our kids know what to expect? Because that's very important.
So, Eileen,
Comment from the audience. The cell phone is the best babysitter ever invented. In addition, the addiction is instant. Back to you, Cliff.
all right. Back when I was young, people talked about dyslexia. I've heard the term dyslexia before I heard the term autism and ADHD, but is dyslexia just an issue of not being able to, you're just uncoordinated, or is this a learning disability?
You know, there's actually a name, developmental coordination disability. If you're just not coordinated. And but dyslexia is your brain's not interpreting the words or the numbers correctly. They're flipped, or they're backwards, or they're skewed. And dyslexia is a way that your brain is perceiving the information and then being able to read it. And so when they make, like, say you see the word so and you say of, right? Because you flip the O, and now you're trying to make sense of the S, but it kind of looks like an F, so you're going to say of, or is, or the. You know, you make those little mistakes, and those have to be corrected over time. But, I mean, dyslexia can have co-occurrences with autism, with ADHD. I mean, there's no limit today, apparently.
No.
I think we have to consider this with autism, that there's a significant bump up in your check if your kid got some autism. They get Medicaid, disability benefits, so it gives the mother more money in her bank account if her kid has autism. I think that's why the big uptick happened in autism. That's my theory. Back to you guys.
I think that if anybody is getting money for having a child with autism, it's the kids that are completely non-functional, that cannot function, that have medical complications as well. You really have to be at a low functioning level But then again, I don't know. Are parents just making things up on their report? I mean, looking for an extra check or something? I mean, I don't know.
Well, it's called the Autism Cares Act.
Interesting.
There's an uptick in your check, guaranteed. Apply for it.
Well, the thing is now with all the fraud we're finding in the different government programs, that, you know, I wouldn't be shocked if there was fraud with this either. So I mean, the amount of fraud, I mean, I knew that there was a lot of waste and a lot of issues with the government, whether it's state or federal, but the numbers that we're seeing in the news is just staggering. We're not talking, you know, a few $1 million. I mean, that's still a lot of money, I mean, to somebody like me. But we're talking tens or hundreds of billions of dollars. That's a lot of money. You take that money and put it back into a system like, you know, Social Security or Medicare, and you're not going to have that system going bankrupt in 8 years. You know, the amount of money is just staggering, and we're not talking for the whole country. We're talking just in one state alone. You look at Minnesota or some of the other states, you know, New York or, you know, whatever, California. Those are just one state when you're talking hundreds of billions of dollars. That's crazy amount of money.
I know. I was talking.
Go ahead, darling.
I was talking about Friday, the $225 million in fraud that was found, and I just sent it to you again, John. I hope you can pick it up. It's from Fox News. The Puerto Rico, 24 states of fraud across the country. State Financial Officers Foundation and Open the Books Realizing and Analyze the Education Department Office of the Inspector General Semi-Annual Report to Congress issued between 2019 and 2026 revealing alleged fraud across 24 states and Puerto Rico. Findings should alarm every family.
Well, you know, Puerto Rico is just a disaster down there. We do not want them as a 51st state. I mean, it's a third world country in Puerto Rico, the way things are down there. It's just crazy how bad it is. But I mean, it's just the government oversight. You know, you think that you have guidelines for government oversight, like you're just talking about how low functioning people to get that money would have to be, Eileen, you know, for autism. How much is the government really verifying? Like you said, the parents can say anything. I mean, are they getting actual doctors, verification of this really happening? And of course, then look at all the doctors that are being charged with fraud now. So
right. So I know doctors' reports do need to be included, physicals, so forth. Like there are certain things that do need to be included before you can even get considered. But I mean, I'll never forget when I first started in special education. I had a student with significant hearing loss, and I remember finishing her IEP, and the mom needed it right away to get money. And I remember I brought it to her work to help her out, to like say, here you go, this is everything. But it was to apply for services because her child had significant hearing loss.
Yeah, but that was an actual case, though, Eileen. You know, that's what the program is for, to help people who really need that kind of help. And we're seeing more and more that, you know, people found loopholes, or, you know, they got people just signing stuff off. I mean, it's because there's no real oversight.
Yeah.
Well, how about the people in the government supposed to check for fraud? Why do they keep their job? Nobody gets fired in government.
Yeah, that's a good point again, John. You know, it's why are they not finding? I mean, they're finding I guess now they're starting to find more stuff. But on the other hand, you're right, John. You don't see any of these government employees who should have been making sure this wasn't happening. They're just talking now about the people who have caused the fraud and stolen the money. But you don't see, like you said, I agree, you don't see people who should have been doing their job, having be held accountable for this.
The biggest question that you hear in government offices is every Thursday you hear this question goes around the whole country. Are the checks in?
I mean, there are, and I know we're kind of painting a broad brush. There are people who work in government jobs that do a good job. I mean,
they're chastised and they're put down. Mike, the people who do a good job are chastised, put down, and more work's put on their desk.
Yeah. Well, what happens to people who aren't doing their job are sloughing it off to the people who are doing their job. Well, we'll give it to them. We'll give it to Mike because you come to him and say, "Hey, I can't do this," or we'll give it to Mike because we'll let him take care of it.
No, it's
more like there's a law about this. It's called the Pareto ratio.
So's doing 65.
And what it says is, what, John?
So's doing 65.
There's different kinds of law.
Still ignored.
It's like a law of mathematics he's talking about, John.
20% of the people do 80% of the work. And
when they asked Dr. Wang how many people work, he looked at his magnificent tower and they said, "How many people work over there?" And he says, "About half."
Yeah. But
that comes down to who's what. Now, we're talking about government jobs. When you work in the private sector, there are accountabilities. I mean, you got deadlines to meet. They're looking at performance and efficiency. You don't get that so much in the government because, I got to appoint my buddy here because he made a donation. So I'm going to appoint him as the supervisor or something in some department. So you're not getting people in there who should be doing their thing. I mean, my uncle worked for the government printing office, okay? And he did a lot. He ended up working for the Senate Finance Committee. He did all the proofreading, verifying everything was correct before it went to publication. But his boss was a political appointee. He'd never see his boss at all. Maybe one day a week. His boss was busy running his own business, and besides collecting a big government check, because he's a political appointee, So, unless you got somebody really paying attention. And I think the reason we're seeing so much fraud coming out now, it's not that it just happened yesterday. It's because the people in the government now are actually looking at this. You got somebody who's saying, "Hey, we need to look and find out what's going on." And I know Elon Musk got hammered a lot for the Doge thing, but he's a business person. He came in and said, "Hey, this stuff is not right, and we don't need this or that or whatever. There's no reason that we need all this stuff because it's not producing anything." And of course he ruffled a lot of feathers.
Well, there's also, it's sort of on the side, the question of, are a lot of the NGOs, the non-governmental organizations, or the Brits call them quangos, quasi-autonomous non-governmental organizations, are they funneling money to the Democratic Party? That when we cut foreign aid, is that cutting the money that's going to the Democratic political machine?
It's possible. I mean, somebody'd have to do a lot of work to trace that through. But it could be going to the Republicans also. I mean, we can't just say it's going to the Democrats.
But on the foreign aid
But,
note that Cliff brings up, we don't audit foreign aid. It just goes out there and who knows where it went. It's gone.
Yeah, I mean, all these grants and different things they were finding, and they were cutting them out. I mean, why? Who's benefiting from these things that were being paid out? It's the NGOs. I mean, look at all the stuff that was going through. The people that were benefiting from this and getting houses and cars and trips and all this other stuff that they were getting money for. Are all these NGOs really necessary? Are they really doing something that changes for the betterment of people? That's the accountability again. We're not overseeing it.
Well, as John has pointed out, poverty is big business in Lowell, so that's non-governmental organizations.
So I'll throw my 2 cents in now because I've been wanting to for about the poverty thing. Lyndon Johnson, who was from Texas, took over as president, obviously after JFK was assassinated. And during his term of office, he got this big thing with war on poverty passed through and money, for benefiting things. It was probably one of the worst things they ever did, the government, for the black families. Because what happened is, because they started giving all this money to people, there was no reason to keep the families intact, no reason for the fathers to be responsible, no reason any longer for families to help each other out and be accountable and responsible. No longer did you need the churches to go in there and help the families. It created a industry and a somewhat kind of slavery, if you want to put it that way, for the black families. Because now they're under the government, that they're getting welfare and housing and medical from the government. And there's you don't have the incentive to do better or put more effort in or getting people to move forward. Because, if I don't have to pay for food and I get my housing taken care of, and I'm fine that way is. So it takes away the drive and incentive for people. And it's not just black families, but I've done some reading and research, and it probably affected black families more than white families. And it's insidious on how they came up with this program and how they ended up taking away the responsibility of fathers. If you look at over the years on what happened, it is very insidious on how they did this.
Well, Mike, did it affect white families as well?
It did, but not to the extent when you look at some of the statistics on how it affected more of the black families than it did the white families. It did. It's a generation after generation of being on the government dole.
I got one guy I follow on the internet that boasts that 80% of the births that happen in America are to single mothers. 80%. That's what I don't check his. It's just a number that's out there. I'll ask Google how many to get a more realistic, because fathers doesn't everybody want to have their dad home? When I was a little kid, I loved having my dad home. I'm sure everybody else did too. These poor kiddos are getting screwed by the father being missing.
The mother has so much influence in certain ways, but the father has influences in a different way. And, you need both those influences to help you with growing up and looking at things. It's just there's when you're in a single parent family home, it puts so much stress on the mother or father, whoever the single parent is, and they always end up being the bad guy with the kids. When you have a mother and father, you have a united team, hopefully, so that the kids can't just beat up on the one parent all the time. So it's just helps things be more stable. Now, is it perfect? No. Are there abusive parents? Yes. But
So
overall, having two parents helps.
I asked Google, how many single mothers gave birth in 2025? 1.44 million, 40% of all births in the country. 40% of the births.
Okay. Yeah, that's a lot. That's a lot.
This should not be a surprise to us. The Moynihan report came out while LBJ was still president, saying that this was going to destroy the black families. And Moynihan is a reasonable, responsible politician. He's been the U.S. I think he's dead now, but he was the U.S. ambassador to India. He was a senator from New York State.
Yep.
But he told us that without serious intervention, black families in poverty would continue in poverty. We just have a system designed to do that.
And he was not a Republican. He was a Democrat. And he was from New York, yes. Yep.
Eileen.
Yes.
You're a single mother. Do you have any thoughts on this?
I do believe our kids need both parents, a mother and a father, a figure in front of them. I mean, I realize as my son gets older, the bigger need he has for his father in his life and his older brothers. So I'm happy he has that ability to reach out and to have that. I think that it's just very difficult, and as a single mom, it does put everything on you and to make things happen no matter what. And I think any relief that the father can give is something that is that needs to happen, and parents need to figure out a way to work together even if they don't like each other after their child is born for the good of their child. How's that? Was that good?
That was great.
Yeah.
What does the school system think about all this?
I think the school system just expects single mothers, or in some cases single fathers. Like I said, when I worked in Westford, I was amazed at the number of fathers that were showing up above and beyond the moms, even, or the two-parent family households that genuinely really cared. And I don't think I should have been that amazed.
Does the school system have any program to help single parents cope?
No, I don't think so, actually. That's a good question. They just have the regular programs. They provide after-school programming so parents can work later. And I don't think that they provide anything to help a single parent and what's expected of them. So that's an interesting angle you're looking at there.
No.
I mean, it's tough nowadays. I mean, if you're a single parent, you may have to work two jobs, because if you don't have support of any kind from the other parent, then you're the stress level and being able to put the time in to your kids is hard. And if you have 2 or 3 kids, that even makes it even more challenging. One child, it's a little easier. But when you got 2 or 3 kids at different ages and different things they're doing, it puts a lot more stress on the single parent.
Well, there's a report out that says, yes, the war on poverty decreased poverty substantially since 1964, largely by welfare supplanting market income such as wages, investment, and profits. In addition, before 1960s, market income had succeeded in reducing poverty at similar rates to what you got with the war on poverty. The one thing I wonder about, not being an economist, is the labor participation rate is it's stuck in this 60% level. That's a lot of people not working, a third of the people not working. And of those who are possible workers, it excludes people in the military, excludes people in prison and in education. But of the rest, a third of them aren't working.
Well, it's interesting, Cliff, because you're just saying with those statistics that it's helped the war on poverty, but has it? Because those people, if they didn't have those government programs, would be in poverty. So why are so many people, if you look at the real numbers, how many people have gone on government assistance now compared to, back when they started this in the 60s, percentage-wise? And like you're saying, a third of people. Was it that high back then, or was it lower? So are we being successful, or are we just having smoke and mirrors to make it look like we've made progress?
Well, I don't know. And, of course, the question is, can we sustain it? I saw a statistic that said by 2029, we may have to reduce Social Security payments 25%. That would be a real nick at people who depend on Social Security.
Ain't gonna happen, Cliff.
How is that it's not going to happen?
We'll just print the money. Hey, comment from the audience. God bless all single parents. Tomorrow's City Life, we're going to have Bobby Hoey's going to be here. Francisco Maldonado's going to be here. Freddie Bahu's going to be here. Sean McDonough and Tom Beaumont. That's tomorrow's City Life. Time is short, Cliff.
That'll be a good show.
We print more money, but the amount of interest we pay goes up, right?
No.
No?
No, Fru brought up a point earlier today, and I meant to ask him more about it. They prefer American dollars in Japan. Why?
Dollar is king. It's all over the world. Dollar is king. They want to use American dollars because they look at us as something that currency is stable. That's what they look at it. It's backed. They know it's good. As far as if they want to use it someplace. I'm sure that if I wanted to give, where my son was in New Zealand, if I wanted to give people there American dollars, they'd take them because the exchange rate. Over there, an American dollar is worth $1.70 in New Zealand. So, you will go around the world, the exchange rate. For Americans, it's great, but for like Kathy and Canadians, it's $1.40. It's 43 now. So it's they want American dollars too, even Canada. So it's
the faith that people have in that piece of paper we call the U.S. dollar. It allows us to print as much as we want because no matter what happens, I don't care where you go in the world, they want your American dollar over their own.
Yeah, and if that faith in the American dollar goes away, then we're in big trouble. So,
But Mike, after
that's what,
listening to these FIFA people who visited us about how happy they are, about the food, about the air conditioning, about the roads, about going to Super Target and going to Super Walmart, bragging about how great America is, that's going to cause an influx of immigrants to come here legally from everywhere on the planet.
yeah, we don't, what bothers me is people talk about, oh, we should open the borders, we should let everybody in. No, we should let people in that are going to contribute to our society and assimilate in with our values and cultures, our blended cultures. There's nothing wrong with remembering where you came from. I don't have a problem like Fru's from Cameroon. There's nothing wrong with that. But when you come here, when you become a citizen, you agree to be part of the U.S. and what our values and cultures are. So, I mean, that's, where we're having problems with all these other people coming in illegally. They're not here to
45 seconds.
assimilate in. But, yeah. Before I forget, National Bean and Frank's Day today. So if you like hot dogs and beans, today's the day.
Good point.
Okay. When I am asked what I want for dinner, I'll point that out. Eileen, what do you plan on doing today?
10 seconds.
I gotta go to the doctor. I think one of my wounds are infected. Actually.
Oh, that's not good.
Yeah, I'm gonna go check it out.
So we'll have to ask the audience to pray about your wound.
Yeah.
There we go.
All right. Everyone have a good week.
Thank you, everybody.
Yep.
Thanks
Have a
for
good
watching.
John?
We'll see you next time.
Okay. Thanks, Mike.